but I have a couple pieces of business that I need to bring forward and discuss with you. So can you all see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So our agenda, of course. So the first item is the county held registered warrants policies and procedures. And I'll give you a little history. So years and years and years ago, we were able to, through our banks, have them hold the registered warrants. So they didn't actually hit our checking account until we called them, and then we paid the bank the interest. So it was basically a line of credit that the county had with the banks that covered registered warrants for those districts and departments that needed them. The bank stopped doing that probably in the late 90s. And so the county had to have a policy where we would be able to basically invest and or loan in those departments and districts who needed to cover their warrants for such time. Throughout the years, it's not been used as much as it was when the banks were covering for us, because it's just a much more difficult process. But we've had this policy in place for a while. So when I was going through and updating it, one of the things, we had here was that we were only going to a maximum of 500,000 annually. And we've never hit that mark, but we had put that in place back in 2018, last time I updated this, because of the downturn in the economy and the fact that the county didn't have the cash reserves necessary at that time, because we were in a pinch as well, to cover large amounts of registered warrants. And we only had one district that was off and on for a while. We were able to get them finally off registered warrants. And so it hasn't been used in a while. But I have a school district, it's Shelton School District 309, that's having some cash flow issues right at the moment. And we would need to possibly cover their payroll warrants for a couple of days. That could be as much as $3 million. And the reason for that is it's their payroll, and they have to send their direct deposit information to the bank 2 days prior to payday. So they have to issue those warrants, say February 25th. And they don't get their state distribution monies until the last working day of the month. So they didn't get their monies until February 28th. So therefore, we would need to cover them for that 3-day period until they have the funds to cover that. So it could be more than the $500,000. It could be more than the $1 million that I've raised this. But I did want to put language in here that if at any time I exceeded that $1 million, I would let the finance committee know. And these are all short-term investments, so they roll over every 30 days. So it's not something that we're carrying long-term. So it wouldn't be that I would have $3 million for 6 months or, a year or more. We're managing these every 30 days. So I made a change to the policy that, I didn't put a maximum in there, but that I would notify the finance committee if at any time we invested in registered warrants that were over $1 million. That can be by an email, that can be on the quarterly report that we do, but I would notify you at any given time if we were going to do anything over $1 million. I don't know how you feel about that, and I'm open for any suggestions. But I wanted to kind of give you a history. We do have the cash reserves on hand to do this for short term. In the case of the school district, we're talking just 3 days. So, and it could be smaller amounts throughout the month, but that large amount is typically just due to a timing of when they receive their cash. They're hoping this is not going to be an issue come June, but they expect that they'll have cash flow issues for at least the next few months. And as property taxes come in, that should help them as well. 309 is experiencing some issues with getting some COVID relief money from the federal governments, and they have some monies outstanding that they need to get in. They had to expend, but haven't received back yet. So they are working on that. So that was the necessity for this particular change.
Lisa, can I ask a question about that? Do you have a time frame in mind for that notification to happen? I mean, it's not specified here, but what do you anticipate in terms of a time frame?
So that's a good question. So we would know probably, I could notify you same day via email. We can, I can notify you right away via email, obviously, and let you know that this is happening and send a copy of the form once it's been approved, so you know. So it can be immediate. Let's see. So if I wanted to, we can put a note in here.
If you added, we'll notify, within 24 hours, or we'll notify the finance committee within 24 hours, or something like that.
Yep, I'll add a time frame in there.
I think that would be helpful.
Okay. I will make that change. So I could, yeah, absolutely.
I'm good with that addition. If for whatever reason you exceed the $1 million and you notify us and we raise concerns, what's kind of the remedy for that? I can't really envision, as you mentioned, that we're in a much different financial position now than we were a few years ago.
Right.
And it seems like this is probably going to be a rarity, but if there isn't consensus amongst the finance committee, what happens, I guess, currently, and then how do we handle that?
Yeah, so currently I'm only limited to 500,000 annually. So, I can't go over that without coming back to you and saying, hey, I need to increase this for this specific purpose. The difficulty in that is that there's a very short turnaround time for the funding of these types of things for the districts or the county, if it happens to be us, and that happening and getting a finance committee meeting set up and the approval done before that would happen would be very difficult. I'm hoping that the no more than 30 days would be a comfort to the finance committee. And I would certainly, if it became more than that or longer than that, I would come back to you. The next paragraph is, clearly notes that we will only hold them 30 days from the date of issuance. So if I need authority to extend it, I'm coming back to you for that. Let's see. So it gives me the ability to extend it as long as it meets the objectives of the investment policy. Mm-hmm. I can add language in here that I have the finance committee approve it here in this second section, if you'd like.
Yeah, no problem with that, Patty.
Yeah, I think, I'm comfortable if we are notified with Lisa making a determination whether beyond 30 days makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're notified, I guess,
Okay.
you know, and that it's going to go on, I mean, and that it's going to go on for longer than 30 days,
Okay,
we can meet and if we feel the need.
okay.
Yeah.
All right,
But I wouldn't want to trigger something automatic. And we'll just assume this isn't going to happen on a regular basis.
all right. So I'll put some language in there to include mechanism to make sure that the finance committee is aware that that's happening.
Yeah, just notification. I think that's all we need. And then
Okay.
if there's the need to meet, we can have a meeting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right. All right. So we've gone through and we've just changed the process on how we do this. The process is cumbersome, and we were having the districts issue a warrant to us, which doubled their expenditures and was causing problems with the state auditors and their financials. So what I'm requesting is that in the future, we don't have them issue a warrant to us and hold that as collateral, per se. We're going to change the letter of understanding for the issuance of registered warrants and promissory notes. And that said letter, well, it's always required the district chair or authorized representative to sign. But that it becomes a promissory note in itself and doesn't require that they issue a warrant on top of it.
Makes sense.
And that will help us and the districts considerably. I'm still requesting that the interest on these be the LGIP rate plus 2%. And I've taken out language that refers to the warrant. The process for us really doesn't change too much. I've just kind of updated some wording and just some language per se here. And I've just changed the process for my staff so it's clearly in writing moving forward, so that they understand what their process is when they're doing the entry and the redeeming of them. So there's nothing in here that really changes how we were doing it. It's just clear. I've just tried to write it more clearly.
In item 5D, it refers to note that registered warrant. Is that really registered warrant or is that promissory note?
Let me add registered warrant promissory note in there. Promissory note. We'll add that wording. And this section D is pretty much new. I just wanted my staff to put it on our office calendar so we don't miss making sure that we are following up on those and changing it from this old investment ledger that we used to use that we don't use anymore. So redeeming the registered warrants again. Whoops, back here. I'm not really changing the process so much. It's just updating the language to make it clearer for my staff and making sure where they know to file them and all of that. And then how we're receiving them. I've tried to create language in here that was clearer for them as well. Interest on that at that 30 days is always collected and receipted to the county current expense fund. And that's the process for that. There's a little bit of difference in how we treat, in 9, how we treat county departments, and in 8, how we treat the taxing districts. And that's just for the financial purposes of the county. So that's why they're spelled out differently. And again, just for my staff's benefit, maturing the investment and giving them instructions on that and following the process. And again, there's no rollover of this type of investment unless it's approved by me. And then we would call it and issue it based on new interest rates and whatever we needed to do at that time. So they would have to issue a new promissory note if they had funds to pay part of it, but not all of it. So we would be looking at that throughout the process. Any questions or anything else that you might
That all makes
have
sense
on
to
that?
me. What do you want to do with this? Do you want to approve it conceptually? What do you think what are you looking
Yeah.
for?
So let me just go through a couple other documents really quick. So the second document is new. It replaces the old registered warrant letter of understanding and now makes it a registered warrants promissory note. It's not that much different than the old one, except that we've called it something else. The principal goes here. We determine what the rate is, what the issue date is, what the redemption date is, how many days it would be to calculate the interest due. And then I've just added a place to put, an identification number, and then once we redeem it, a place to note that on the promissory note when we file it away. So this really hasn't been changed very much. I maybe highlighted some stuff for the districts, but this is basically the same form. I'm just calling it something different now to match the policy and procedures. And then the last thing is, originally when we did the registered warrant policy and procedures, we did have the commissioners approve it. So if we want to have them approve it, we would need to amend the resolution 116 to do that. It's not necessary, but it's something we did in the past. Excuse me. I don't know how the board feels about that or the committee feels about that, but we can certainly bring it forward to them with a recommendation to pass once I get the wording updated.
So my initial reaction to that is it's probably, since we already have a resolution adopted by the commission, that it would probably make sense to update that resolution just for clarity. Because if you looked at the policy and you looked at maybe what was already done in the resolution from 16, it might be I think
we would either need to dissolve the original resolution. I mean, it's going to take some action.
Yeah,
we can either amend it or we can dissolve it. So
I have no preference either way. If it's easier to just dissolve it through action, then I'm good with that.
RCW and so forth puts the burden on the finance committee and the county treasurer. But it's always nice to have our commissioners on board with us as well. So,
and if this hasn't been updated in 6 years, I mean, it's not like we're going to be running back and forth to the commission and burdening them with this over and over and over.
Right.
So, I mean, my gut is run it through the commission, but okay. I don't feel strongly about that.
Okay, that's fine. I like I said, put a resolution together to amend the original one. So, once the board approves, I get the signatures on the policy, then we'll make it a briefing and action item for the board to just finish up. So that's not a problem. I'm covering all my bases.
That's fine.
All right. So I will make the 2 changes. So in section 1, this is a PDF, so I we'll make the changes and send them out to you. Get your approvals. So I'll make the changes. I'll send them out via email. Make sure that you both concur. And then I will come over and get your signatures.
So I'll make a motion to approve this with pending changes. Is that the best procedurally thing to do?
Pending changes in section 1 and section 2, maybe.
And yeah, and I think there's also some numbering
There are some numbering issues.
I didn't see a section 10.
Yeah.
But so to approve this conceptually.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, all right, passed. All right, perfect. Let's see, what else did I have? Okay, so the PDC annual filing reports for the Finance Committee. This is an annual document. Way down here, let me get to it. I have to file this by the 15th of April of each month. So this just basically, the Finance Committee certifies that they didn't have a legal interest in any of the banks or credit unions that we do business with that hold public funds. You can have accounts with them, but you can't sit on the board or make any financial decisions for those institutions. Currently, Columbia Bank is the county's banking institution. We do not have, let's see, Key Bank, Kitsap Bank, Olympia Federal. Those are the banks that we currently have funds available in. So I will send this around when I come by with the policy and procedures update to have you sign. And I'll get it sent off to the PDC.
Perfect.
And this is for the prior year of January 21 through December 21. So that is all I had for today. Is there any new business or anything else that needs to come before the committee?
Lisa, just a question. So obviously we're seeing what's happening in Eastern Europe, a lot of discussion about the state and their investments that have ties to markets and funds in Russia. Are you hearing anything about changes that could be happening at the state level that might have an impact on us? And I'm asking not because I'm not supportive of those changes. I just want to know for planning purposes or just informational.
Yeah, I have not heard anything yet. So if something comes up, I will definitely let you know. I think it's a little, what I heard yesterday was that they were, reaching out to the state departments to see, what they may have. And I don't know that they have any answers yet. So I don't know that it affects us in any way, shape, or form, but I will definitely keep the committee informed if I hear something.
Great, thank you.
I know you have a hearing tonight on the Belfair sewer again. So I'll be listening in. I haven't had any updates obviously to that. So if there's any financing issues or anything like that, we'll move that forward. Can always call a special meeting if we need to before our next regular second quarter meeting. I sent some information to Mark on some bonds. Did you get that email, Mark?
When did you send it to me?
Yesterday morning. You were looking for payoff information on the LTGO for 2020A and 2021.
I did get that. Thank you.
Okay.
I have not read it yet, but thank you.
Okay,
My question was resulting because currently the board is establishing a reserve fund for Belfair debt within real estate excise second quarter percent. And so by 2027, right around there, they're going to have enough in their reserve to pay off the outstanding debt. So my question to Lisa was, could we pay it off early, or is it something that there's not an early payoff provision? So I'm sure that's in the response. Thank you, Lisa.
it is in the response. One of them you can pay off at any time, and the other one had a 5-year payoff or date before we could pay it off.
And you refinanced them in 2021 is the latest. Which one? Let's see, 2020 can be repaid anytime in 2020. So 2025. Perfect. That's actually good. Yeah, great. Thank you for that information.
Yep, you're welcome. All right, well, I will adjourn this meeting then. Thank you for joining. I will get the changes to the policy made and out to Patty and Kevin. Once I have your approval, I'll bring it over and get your signatures.
Thanks, Lisa.
All right, thanks,
Thanks, Lisa.
everybody. Have a